Revealed, how a hidden mockery at a Billionaire's gala led to an unexpected 4.9B transformation in the heart of Maplewood. The scent of home-cooked meals mingled with laughter as Sunday barbecues brought the townsfolk together. But for Jack, a 35-year-old mechanic with grease-stained hands that spoke of years of honest labor, every day was a battle. His late father's dreams of entrepreneurial success echoed in Jack's heart, whispering tales of ambition while the heavy weight of unfulfilled potential bore down on him. In a world that constantly pushed against him, Jack held tight to his family and community, his unwavering foundation point. One day, an unexpected envelope arrived, a gilded invitation to a prestigious Billionaire's gala in the city. Jack's heart raced, its rhythm almost deafening in his ears. An opportunity. A chance to showcase his revolutionary electric vehicle, designed for hardworking rural Americans. But doubt crept in. How could a gearhead like him fit into a world of glitz and glamour? With his father's unfulfilled dream glaring at him, Jack stuffed the prototype into the back of his truck, making up his mind to attend. As he stepped into the lavish hall, the contrast struck him like cold water. Dressed in worn boots and a frayed flannel shirt, he felt like a ghost amidst the sparkling chandeliers and silk ties. Laughter bounced off the marble walls, yet all he could hear was the thudding of his heart. Jack swallowed hard, fighting the urge to retreat. But idea after idea swirled in his mind, spurring him to approach a group of billionaire investors. Words spiraled from his mouth, but before he could finish his pitch, laughter erupted. Their mocking eyes bore through him like arrows, piercing the pride he'd held for so long. It stung deeply. His hands, seasoned from honest work, were now nothing more than a caricature to them. But then, snippets of conversation struck his ear, a discussion about economic disparity, about abandoned towns about him. Anger surged through Jack like wildfire. These were the very elites who contributed to the struggles of the working class. In that moment, everything changed. Jack mustered his courage and stepped into the spotlight. "You see me," he began, voice trembling yet resolute. "I'm here because my father believed in dreams, hard work, and community." Each word poured from his heart, igniting passion within him. Faces shifted from scorn to curiosity. Jack wasn't just a mechanic, he was their connection to the American spirit, raw and unrefined. The whispers grew quiet as he spoke the truths they had tried to ignore: the dignity of labor and the value of every small town. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With the crowd hanging on his every word, Jack felt a new energy ripple through him. His idea transformed into a vision: an app that could connect neighbors, inspire local businesses, and rekindle the spirit of the community. The investors leaned in, intrigued by the authenticity he offered. As laughter turned to contemplation, he realized this wasn't just about money. It was about belonging, about honoring his father. Standing there, Jack made a declaration, daring them to question the real pulse of America. As the room held its breath, one thought loomed large: could Jack's resilient vision of unity reshape his world, or would the elites continue to overlook the grit and heart of what he represented? Jack stood in the spotlight, the air electric with anticipation. The once dismissive laughter had transformed into hushed silence, the kind that dances with possibilities. He could feel their eyes on him, not out of ridicule, but with genuine curiosity. His heart raced, fueled by adrenaline and a growing sense of purpose. This wasn't just about the pitch, it was about making them see the truth behind the badge of honor he wore as a mechanic. "I know what it's like," Jack continued, each word clipped and precise. "I've toiled long hours, fixing engines and patching up lives. With every turn of the wrench, I've seen what hard work can build. It's not about money, it's about community. It's saving those forgotten towns, those hardworking families. He felt the emotion swell in him, compelling him to embrace the truth he so passionately articulated. The whispers in the room faded to an almost tangible silence, one that hung heavy with unspoken thoughts. Jack's hands trembled, not from fear, but from a fierce determination. Could it be that a simple mechanic could unite these billionaires with the American spirit? A hand raised from the back of the room, a tall figure with gray hair and steely eyes. "What's your plan, Jack? How can a small-town mechanic compete with Fortune 500 companies?" The challenge hung in the air, more an invitation than an accusation. Jack swallowed hard, his mind racing. If he faltered now, all of this would be in vain. "I'll show you," he blurted out, almost instinctively. "It's about creating something bigger than me, an app that can integrate services and build networks among neighbors. We can empower our communities, create local jobs, and foster pride where there's been neglect." He saw nods ripple through the crowd. Hesitant yet intrigued, Jack pressed on, enthusiasm cracking through his initial anxiety. Every download, every connection, just be numbers. It's personal. It's people coming together to help one another. Trust me, I've lived it. As the excitement built, Jack started pacing the small stage, an unlikely stage for an unlikely hero. This app, let's call it Rooted, will ignite local economies. Picture it, a platform where folks can trade services, promote local goods, and share skills. We revive the heart of small towns while generating income for families just like mine. More questions floated up from the crowd. What about tech support? How would he fund it? Jack answered them, his voice steady, drawing on the strength of his roots and the love for his community. He reflected on Saturday evenings spent with neighbors, trading tips and recipes over a backyard fence. They wanted to hear the stories behind the figures. Suddenly, a familiar face emerged from the crowd. It was Tom, a childhood friend who had moved to the city to find his fortune, now standing with an unexpected pride gleaming in his eyes. Tom stepped forward. "I believe in you, Jack. We need this. I need this." The murmurs of agreement rolled through the room. Something had shifted. Jack could feel it, a flicker of hope, igniting fire not just in him but in these titans of industry. Maybe, just maybe, they could see beyond their ivory towers. But as he felt himself reaching toward them more boldly, Jack remembered the challenge ahead. Would they really take a chance on an idea from someone like him? The applause rang out, surprising him. It was strong but uncertain, filled with the promise of what might come next. Yet, just beyond the applause, one question haunted him: did he have the strength to keep fighting for his vision in a world that often crushed dreams? With that uncertainty lingering in the air, Jack turned to face Tom, a determined glint in his eye. "Let's do this together," he said, sensing the journey was just beginning. But what obstacles lay ahead in the pursuit of a dream so bold? The cheers rang out, echoing off the walls like a wave of hope crashing against the rocks of doubt. Jack stood dazed, his heartbeat sinking with the rhythm of applause. Yet in the corner of his mind, another sound loomed out, an insistent whisper that reminded him of how far off the ground he had stepped. "Did you see that?" Tom grinned, clapping Jack on the shoulder. "They're in. I swear, they are in." Jack took a deep breath, forcing a smile that felt foreign on his face. Yeah, maybe. But he knew it wasn't that simple. The energy in the room carried a charge, but it also held expectations. Billionaires didn't throw money at dreams without assurances. They needed numbers, data, a foolproof plan that he didn't have yet. "What's next?" Tom asked, his eyes shining with the excitement of the moment. Backstage, the buzz of the crowd faded as Jack's mind raced. He had just sung the praises of an app that could nourish communities from the roots up, but now he had to turn it into something real. "We need a team," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "I can't do this alone. I'll never know the tech part well enough." "Let's find some real developers," Tom suggested. "I'll help you." We'll crowdsource. The community will want in on this. They'll see what it can do. The idea struck Jack like lightning. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He had forgotten to turn it off. Fishing it out, he checked Instagram, where he followed various local groups. Yes. There. He exclaimed, pointing to his screen. Local Youth Coding Club. They need a project. Tom leaned closer, looking at the screen. But we'll need more than kids and apps. We need investment, too. True believers who can back your vision financially. You've got faith from that room, but can you make it translate to dollars? The words stung. They were true. Still, Jack shook them off. Let us hold a meeting. I know people in town who would love to be part of this. They will invest in something that lifts us all. Tom raised an eyebrow. You mean the old faces you talked about? Your neighbors. Exactly. They'll want to see a glimpse of hope in tangible form. We all know what we've had to endure. It's a struggle we're in together. They'll get it, we just have to show them. They bounced ideas off one another, fleshing plans out with enthusiasm. The vision of Rooted morphed into something more while the backing of the community took shape in Jack's mind like a sturdy frame to complete the picture. Suddenly, a voice interrupted them. That's all good, but what happens when things get tough? It was Ivan, a former classmate, now a tech entrepreneur built into the chaos of Silicon Valley. His presence loomed large, carrying the air of skepticism. What's in this for you, really? You're risking your name. Jack felt himself freeze. It's about more than just me, he replied, trying to contain the tremor in his voice. It's about taking back what we lost. Reviving the connection we used to have. Ivan crossed his arms, expression unreadable. And if it all crashes and burns? What then? A heavy silence wrapped around the trio as they absorbed the bleak reality hidden in Ivan's words. What if they failed? All he had worked for could crumble before it even truly began. Jack blinked away that thought, refusing to let it take root. Then I'll get up, Jack declared, lifting his chin. Because that's what we do. We never give up. Tom nodded, drawing strength from Jack's resolve. But deep inside, Jack wondered if he meant it. Even the mighty can fall, and yet, amidst the uncertainty, a flicker of belief sparked once more. The next few steps would define everything: the meeting, the bid for support, the moment they would need to lay it all on the line. Already, he could hear the murmurs of his neighbors, their voices both encouraging and worried. Jack's eyes gleamed with determination. He felt the weight of the task ahead, yet he couldn't shake one burning thought. Was he truly ready for the fight that lay ahead, and would he be able to pull the community with him? Before he could delve too deep into the fear, a message pinged on his phone from an unexpected number. Curiosity nagged at him as he opened it. Jack, I think we can help. Meet me tomorrow. Who was it? Would they be the answer he desperately sought? The promise of tomorrow hung heavy in the air, gleaming like a distant star. Yet Jack wondered, would he discover an ally or more resistance in his truth-seeking journey? The next morning, Jack stared at the blinking cursor on his laptop screen, each flash echoing his growing anxiety. He had spent the night rehearsing what he would say to the unknown person who had reached out. The message taunted him, filling his mind with questions. Who could be offering help? What kind of help? Tom walked into the small coffee shop where they agreed to meet, a steaming cup in hand. Hey, you look like you've seen a ghost. Did you sleep at all? Jack forced a grin, but it felt heavier than it should have. Just racing thoughts, he admitted. Waiting for that message to make sense. Tom slid into the seat across from him. What do you think? Someone from the Gala? A developer? Maybe someone who believes in your vision? I wish I knew. Jack glanced around, his heart racing. The shop was warm and inviting, with sunlight streaming through the windows, but his palms were clammy. He thought of Ivan's words last night, a shadow that loomed over him. I just can't shake the feeling that this could all fall apart. Then don't let it, Tom said, his voice steady. You've got a plan. You're in this for everyone else, remember that. Jack nodded, but doubt clung to him like wet clothes. A few minutes later, his phone buzzed again, a fresh message from the same unknown number, I'm here. Jack's heart jumped. He hadn't even seen anyone enter the shop. Looking up, he met the eyes of a woman in her 30s, tousled hair and bright, enthusiastic gaze. She made her way toward them, confidence depicting her every step. I'm Amelia, she said, extending her hand. I got your number from the coding club. You need a developer, right? Yes, we do. Jack felt relief flooding through him. But a lot more than that. We need guidance on how to make everything work together. Amelia grinned. You're not just looking at the tech side. You want to build a community, right? Exactly, Tom chimed in. We're on the edge of something big here. We can't just focus on an app. This is about rebuilding trust and relationships. That's the spirit. Amelia's eyes sparkled. I've been in tech long enough to know that more than anything, it's essential to have a solid foundation. A community effort is powerful, but you need stakeholders who believe in the dream. Jack leaned in, intrigued. You have ideas? More than just ideas. I want to bring together developers, mentors, and potential investors who can resonate with your story. We can create a movement, one that doesn't just stop at an app but revitalizes the entire community. Excitement bubbled within Jack. This was it, the ally he had hoped for. How do we start? Amelia pulled out her laptop, coffee forgotten. We begin with a meeting. We show them what this all looks like. We need visuals, prototypes, something that tells your story. And outreach, Tom added eagerly. Mobilizing the narrative around rooted to bring it all together. But what if they say no? Jack's voice trembled with uncertainty. Then we find new people who will say yes, Amelia replied, her tone reassuring. Contact residents, highlight the journey you've all been through. This isn't just about you, it's about every single person who's looking for connection and hope. Jack felt a smile spread across his face, warmth pushing out the cold doubt. I will do that, he said, determination creeping back in. We will do that. As Amelia and Tom exchanged ideas around him, Jack took a moment to reflect. For the first time, the shadows that clung to him started to fade. They agreed to gather that evening, extending invitations to key figures in the community. Jack's heart raced with a mix of excitement and fear, but the familiar echo of his mantra played in his mind, never give up. That night, a small crowd filled the community center, voices buzzing with curiosity. Jack stood at the front, staring into the sea of familiar faces, some familiar, others not. Suddenly, a tap on his shoulder jolted him back. It was Ivan again, eyebrows knit tight. You think this will go well? Jack swallowed hard, but deep in his chest, he felt an ember of belief. It has to. Our community depends on it. And as he looked out over his neighbors, he realized he didn't just want this for himself. It was for every hopeful heart that had ever wondered if they mattered. But as Ivan took a seat at the back, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing on the horizon. Would they embrace this opportunity, or would doubt drown them all before they ever had the chance to rise? Jack's heart pounded as he glanced around the community center. Familiar faces, all looking to him with a mixture of hope and skepticism, shifted in his peripheral vision. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. This was the moment, the pivotal point that could either spark a wave of change or leave them all lost in uncertainty. Thank you all for coming tonight, he began, his voice slightly wavering. Many of you know why we're here. We've faced challenges together, but tonight we begin a new chapter. He paused, letting his words sink in, watching their expressions shift from hesitant to attentive. This isn't just about an app. This is about us, our community. It's about rebuilding trust and fostering connections that will last. A murmur ran through the crowd. He noticed Ivan shifting uncomfortably in his seat, arms crossed tightly over his chest. Jack pressed on, determined not to let doubt derail his vision. I want to introduce Amelia. She's here to help us bring this vision to life. Amelia stood, her presence electric. What we're planning isn't just a project, it's a movement. We want this to be a platform for collaboration, for innovation, for each of you to have a say in building a future we can all be proud of. A hand shot up from the back. And what if we don't have the resources? Not everyone has time or money to invest. It was an elderly man, his voice tinged with anxiety. Resources don't only mean money, Amelia replied swiftly. It's about ideas, skills, and passion. Together, we'll create something that amplifies our voices. We'll find grants, volunteers, anything we can use to fuel this project. Jack could feel the tension in the room shift slightly. More hands shot up, questions firing like arrows, but this time they echoed curiosity and interest rather than skepticism. He caught a glimpse of Ivan nodding, if just for a moment. Then let us start small, Jack said, brimming with newfound confidence. A workshop next week. We'll gather everyone's ideas. Let us brainstorm how each one of us can contribute, not just with resources but with our dreams. We need to feel connected to what we're building. The energy in the room surged. He could see it, faces lighting up, hands moving in excitement. The fire of possibility was spreading, and Jack felt it ignite something deep inside him. He was no longer just a developer, he was a leader, ready to amplify others' voices. As they broke into smaller groups, laughter and murmurs filled the room. Jack glanced at Amelia, and they exchanged a smile. This was how it began, the birth of something beautiful amidst shared vulnerability and resilience, but just as he turned back to focus on his group, he spotted Ivan again, his face pale. Ivan's eyes darted to the door, watching someone enter the community center. Jack squinted. A familiar figure stepped in, slick and polished, Marcus, the Gala's mastermind, the billionaire who had dismissed their project with a wave of his hand. What is he doing here? Tom whispered, his own excitement wavering. Jack's heart dropped, caught off guard by the intrusion. I have no idea, he stuttered. Marcus scanned the crowd, then focused on Jack. Those piercing eyes seemed to read right through him, the confidence radiating off Marcus like the sun. Jack felt a chill creep down his spine. A part of him wanted to run, to hide from the figure who represented both privilege and the dismissive attitudes he feared, and then, Marcus smiled a smile that felt more like a challenge than a greeting. Suddenly, the energy in the room shifted again. What did he want? Why was he here at this moment, among those he had once shunned? Jack's mind raced, fear clawing at him. This was supposed to be a night of potential and hope. But now, it felt as if a reckoning was approaching. What did Marcus have planned, and how would it affect everything they had just built? The night's events had taken a turn, and now the real challenge was just beginning. The question hung in the air, the unsettling reality of the moment wrapping tightly around Jack's heart. He turned to face Marcus, uncertainty gnawing at him. What would happen next? The room fell silent, as if time itself had come to a standstill. All eyes were now fixed on Marcus, who strolled confidently toward the front, an unsettling grin still plastered across his sharp features. Jack's heart raced, and his palms grew clammy. He could feel the weight of their gazes, a mix of curiosity and apprehension. What was supposed to be a night of collaboration and hope now threatened to unravel. Everyone, Marcus began, his voice smooth and commanding, I couldn't help but overhear your passionate plans. He cast a knowing glance at Jack, the corners of his mouth twitching as if he held a secret. I admire your enthusiasm. But let's be honest, enthusiasm alone won't solve your problems. A murmur of discontent rippled through the crowd. Jack clenched his fists, ready to defend his vision. This was their moment, not a stage for Marcus's self-serving theatrics. But he held back, unsure of how to counter someone so out of touch yet undeniably powerful. Amelia stepped forward, her brow furrowed. "What do you think we need, Marcus? A checkbook for ideas? We're here seeking genuine collaboration and community building." Her voice remained firm, but Jack could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes. "You have a good start," Marcus replied, tilting his head slightly as if considering a child's drawing. "But what you really need is exposure. Recognition. You're a small fish in a big pond. Without the right connections, your project will still be just talk." Each word felt like a dagger, piercing through the fragile sense of hope they had built moments before. A familiar face in the crowd stepped forward, Elena, an artist known for her local murals. "Your money and connections don't scare us. We'll find our way," she shouted, her voice full of defiance. "Bravo!" Marcus clapped slowly, genuinely amused. "But let us not kid ourselves. What you need is guidance, and let us face it, some funding wouldn't hurt either." His icy gaze roamed over the crowd, then sharpened back on Jack. "Tell me, Jack, how do you intend to bring your little dream to fruition? Do you even have a plan?" Jack felt the blood rush to his face. He opened his mouth, searching for the right words, but they escaped him. Doubt began to creep in. What if he didn't have a solid plan? What if Marcus was right? Just then, someone in the back shouted, "We don't need him. We have each other." The crowd echoed the sentiment, stirring with a renewed sense of solidarity. Jack felt a rush of warmth swell within him. They were ready to fight for this. Marcus, however, simply shrugged. "Joyous spirit, how charming." He paused, his smile fading slightly. "But in the end, passion won to pay the bills." He took a step closer, lowering his voice, almost conspiratorially. "Unless you're willing to consider an alliance with someone who knows how to navigate these waters, I could help you." Jack felt a pulse of anger rise within him. He would not let Marcus define their future. "What we need is genuine relationships, not business deals," he said, his voice fierce. "We're here to create change together, not be taken over by another corporate pawn." Jack's words resonated through the community center, and the crowd began to cheer him on. He could feel a current of energy raging through the room, pushing him forward. "Choose wisely, Jack," Marcus said, his tone shifting coldly. "Investors don't wait forever. You're at a crossroads, and I can only offer direction. This project can go either way, up in flames or up to great heights. You choose." With that, he turned, walking away with the confidence of a man who held all the cards. The crowd buzzed with confusion, concern painting their faces. Jack could feel the weight of it all, the responsibility pressing down on him like a heavy cloak. Amelia looked at Jack, her eyes full of determination. "What do we do now?" The stakes had never felt higher, and Jack could sense the pivotal decision that lay ahead of them, as much for him as for the community he loved. Could they trust their instinct? Or would they risk it all for a chance at something Marcus could provide? Whispers filled the air, the turmoil overwhelming. Jack's heart raced. In this moment of uncertainty, he knew a choice had to be made. It was time to act. What direction would they take, and what risks were they willing to embrace? The answer loomed just beyond his grasp. The silence hung thick after Marcus's departure, and Jack felt the intensity of the moment almost painfully. Each person in the room was locked in their thoughts, processing the encounter. Jack stood at the center, feeling smaller than ever, yet charged with a flicker of determination. "What do you really want?" Elena asked, breaking the heavy silence. Her voice was steady, filled with passion. "We need to remember what brought us here. It's our vision, our community. Don't let Marcus' words shake that. Jack nodded, fueled by Elena's energy. She was right, they had all been together in this. We're not here just to survive. We're here to thrive, to create something meaningful. But how do we do that without falling into Marcus's trap? Amelia stepped beside him, her expression thoughtful yet resolute. We brainstorm. Let us focus on our strengths, our community. We can do this without him. Jack glanced around, meeting the eyes of his friends and neighbors. Their expressions transformed from doubt to sparks of hope. Let us break into groups. We need ideas, strategies, everything we can think of. If we work together, we'll think of something. The crowd began to stir with excitement. They formed small circles, the air buzzing as ideas flew back and forth. Jack moved from one group to another, gathering bits of creativity and enthusiasm. He could feel their energy morphing into a collective vision, a counter-narrative to Marcus's smugness. We can host a community festival, suggested an older gentleman named Frank. Involve local artists, musicians. It's a perfect way to showcase our talents and build connections. Yeah. Elena chimed in. What if we create a platform for collaboration? Workshops, displays. We can reach the community in a way that's authentic and connected. Jack started to see possibilities unfold. Each suggestion pieced together a larger picture. We can document this journey, he added. Share real stories, ours, not the glamorous tales of investors. Show what we can do, together. Laughter and chatter erupted around him, a symphony that felt like fuel to his fire. Hope, laughter, ideas, all of it was swirling together, merging into something that glimmered with potential, but a nagging thought lingered in the back of Jack's mind. What if Marcus had a plan? What if he wasn't just a nuisance, but a significant threat? The weight of that thought threatened to dim the brightness in the room. All right, everyone. Let us pull this all together. He called out. Real partners in this dream, just us. We can turn Marcus's cynicism into our strength. If he wants spotlight, we'll shine brightly through our unity. Cheers erupted, filling the space with renewed energy. They were moving forward. But the lingering question remained, would it be enough to withstand the lure of Marcus's world? Then, just as Jack felt things were taking a turn for the better, the doors swung wide open again. Everyone turned toward the entrance, breath held as a familiar silhouette stood framed in the doorway. It was Marcus, but something was different this time. A serious expression clouded his face, and he held a large envelope in his hand. I see you've gathered ideas, he said, his voice unusually low. But before you celebrate, you might want to know what's at stake now. Jack felt panic bubble up inside him. What was Marcus planning this time? What had he brought to this chaotic moment? The crowd fell silent, anticipation hanging thick in the air. As Marcus stepped into the room, Jack realized that they were on the verge of another pivotal moment. Would this be the push they needed, or another trap laid out by a man who seemed to understand the game better than they did? The uncertainty loomed heavily, but Jack knew one thing: he couldn't back down now. He took a deep breath, preparing himself for whatever was to unfold. The next chapter of their journey was about to begin, and the stakes had never been so high. What revelation awaited them, and could it finally shift the balance of power? The room vibrated with a tense silence as Marcus approached. He moved with deliberate slowness, like a predator surveying its prey. The envelope in his hand seemed to pulse with untold secrets, the kind that could make or break everything Jack and his friends had poured their hearts into. Gather round, Marcus commanded, his tone oddly calm yet laced with unspoken challenge. The group instinctively shifted closer together, forming a huddle of solidarity. Jack felt the warmth of his friends beside him, a reassurance against the encroaching dread. Let us cut to the chase. This he held the envelope up, and it felt like a weight hanging over them. Contains the details of a serious offer. One that could change your little community project. Elena stepped forward, her chin raised defiantly. "We don't need any of your offers, Marcus. We're building something real here. Something that matters. Or so you think, Elena." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "The document states that if you want to stay here, you'll need to meet my terms. It's either accept the funding, or, well, your dream will become just that, a dream." Jack felt the heat of anger rising inside him. It was a blatant power play, and he could see doubt flicker in the eyes of some around him. Would they truly consider giving in? He stepped forward, trying to speak for all of them. "What's in it for you, Marcus? It's our community. You don't even care about us." Marcus shrugged as if Jack's question was a simple one. "All I care about is profit. I can multiply what you've started here, but you have to play by my rules. Think about it: money, exposure, a chance to expand. Or you can continue in this little bubble of mediocrity." A murmur ran through the crowd. Jack could sense the unease pooling in their thoughts. Everything they had fought for was now dangling in front of them like candy. He glanced at Amelia, who shook her head slightly, an unspoken reminder of their earlier resolve. "Marcus," Jack said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "we're not interested in how you see our community. We're crafting something worthwhile, not just a profit margin for you." "Ah," Marcus replied, a hint of amusement dancing on his lips. "That's brave, Jack, but also naive. What do you think will happen when reality hits? Your community can't survive without funding. Without my connections. You're just delaying the inevitable." Jack could feel the weight of uncertainty hanging heavily in the air. The faces he loved began to reflect worry. The flame of determination he had sparked moments ago seemed to flicker under Marcus's chilling glare. "What if we refuse?" Frank's voice broke through. "What's your game, Marcus?" Marcus chuckled softly, a light, mocking sound that filled the void. "Refusal means this: I'll pull my resources. This place will be forgotten, and you all will be left scrambling. All that hard work? Wasted. But," he lowered his voice, "if you accept, I promise to make this a hub for innovation. Fame, recognition, it can all be yours." Jack's heart raced. He needed to fight back, to breathe life back into their vision. "What if we realign your offer? Make it a partnership, rather than a hostile takeover? We don't need your name to make a difference. This is about our community." Marcus's face shifted momentarily, as if Jack had struck a nerve. For a second, it seemed Marcus was truly contemplating. The silence was suffocating. Everyone's eyes darted between Jack and Marcus, the air thick with tension. The moment felt electric, a snapping point about to explode. Jack took a deep breath, ready to challenge Marcus once more, to stand united. But he had one last move in his pocket. "And if we do this together," Jack added, "what's stopping us from making sure this community thrives on our terms?" Marcus's smile faded, replaced by a calculating gaze. "Ah, now that's interesting. But remember, nothing comes without consequences." Jack's heart pounded as he met Marcus's steely stare, realizing the game was far from over. What new game had Marcus slipped into the mix, and would their resolve hold long enough to find their way through? The tension hung in the room like fog, thick and nearly suffocating. Jack felt the eyes of his friends on him, searching for strength, but all he could muster was uncertainty. Marcus had just shifted the rules of engagement, and Jack knew this wasn't going to end well if they lost their footing. "Consequences, huh?" Jack ventured, trying to sound brave in front of the group. "What kind of consequences? Are you threatening us? Because if you think we'll just cower and bend to your will, you're mistaken." For a moment, Marcus's expression darkened, his confidence teetering on the edge. But it was fleeting. He recovered quickly, a smirk returning to his lips. "Oh, Jack, I admire your spirit. But make no mistake, you're playing a game with a higher stakes than you're prepared for. I don't make empty threats. Elena stepped closer to Jack, her brow furrowed. We can't back down. We put everything into this. There has to be another way. Frank nodded, rallying behind the two. And who do you think you are? Stripping us of our vision? We're not your pawns. The murmurs of agreement swelled within the group, drawing strength from one another. Voices, previously filled with doubt, now drummed up a rhythm of protest. Each heartbeat echoed a shared sentiment. This was their dream, not Marcus's. Jack found renewed courage in their solidarity. We're not afraid of your threats. We believe in each other and what we built together. We'll find a way to protect this, even if it means standing against you. Marcus straightened, his smile growing sharper, more predatory. Brave words, Jack. But ideas without backing tend to stay just that, nothing more than ethereal thoughts floating in the air. You say you want partnership? What's the catch? Because here's the truth, you're going to need someone like me to turn those dreams into reality. Each sentence from Marcus felt like a punch. He was right in a way, but Jack wouldn't let it take them down this road. Maybe we need someone like you, but not on your terms, Jack shot back, the fire igniting within him. Partnership means both sides can win. But your offer is one-sided. You're dangling your money over us like a carrot on a stick. Again, silence fell. It was heavy, each face reflecting newfound resolve tempered with fear. Let's take a vote, Amelia finally piped up. Do we accept these terms, or do we fight for what's ours? One by one, heads nodded. Jack felt a swell of hope surge inside him. The warmth of unity flooded the space like sunlight breaking through dark clouds. But it was quickly tempered by an awareness of the path ahead. What happens if we expose your game? Jack continued, his voice rising with passion. If we tell the story of how you manipulated us? Do you really think the community would stand by, knowing their dreams are under siege? Marcus's laughter rang hollow, though his eyes narrowed, calculating their next moves. Go ahead. Make the mistake of trying to rally the community against me. I'll ensure you understand who holds the real power. Jack felt the chill seep back in. It was a wake-up call. Marcus wasn't just a businessman, he was ruthless, and this battle was just beginning. The stakes were higher than they had imagined. As they faced Marcus, Jack's heart raced again, not just from fear, but from an uncontrollable urge to protect everything they had built. We're not backing down, he urged. Whatever it takes, we'll find a way. Then prepare, Marcus replied coolly, because I always play to win. The group stepped back, a sobering realization washing over them. Jack locked eyes with each friend, a silent pledge passing among them. They would face whatever storm was coming, together. With unpredictable consequences looming, Jack knew they had to strategize. Their path led into murky waters, and every decision would matter. Let's meet tonight, Jack proposed, adrenaline tingling in his veins. Together we brainstorm a plan. We can't let this man define our fate. The group nodded, collectively determined. But as they began to disperse, Jack couldn't shake a lingering doubt. What had Marcus unleashed? And as he exited the room, he could feel the storm swirling outside, mirroring the chaos inside him. Would their resolve hold against an opponent this formidable? For now, they had to prepare. But the real question loomed large in Jack's mind: was their unity enough to withstand the dark tides approaching? The night air was thick with tension as Jack and his friends gathered in the dimly lit community center once more. The stakes had never been higher, and their collective heartbeat echoed through the room, a rhythmic reminder of their resolve. Jack stood at the front, the flickering overhead lights casting shadows on his friends' faces, revealing a tapestry of determination woven together by shared dreams and hopes. Tonight, we take back our narrative, Jack declared, his voice steady. We won't let Marcus dictate our future. We started this for our community, and that's where it will stay. Nods echoed around the room, the energy surging like wildfire. He scanned the enthusiastic faces: Elena, Frank, Amelia, each of them filled with an urgency to fight back. They had already faced uncertainty and threats, but together, they could forge something stronger than fear. "We need a plan," Amelia spoke up, her gaze focused. "Not just for us, but to show people what's really at stake. If we share our story, if we remind everyone what's been lost and what's to be gained, we can build a movement that Marcus can't ignore." "Exactly," Frank added, eyes shining. "We share our history, our struggles, and the dreams we all shared as kids. We highlight how this project isn't just one mechanic's dream, it's everyone standing up against neglect." Jack felt a rush of hope. "Let us gather testimonials, photos, and stories from everyone, open the floor for every voice. We'll turn it into a living document of what our community can do and what it stands for." As they broke into small groups, laughter and ideas filled the space. Voices united in purpose, and for the first time, doubt faded into the background. With each passing moment, a plan emerged: community workshops, social media campaigns, the first rooted festival where they could showcase local talents, and rally support and funding from their own neighborhoods. The night hummed with the energy of possibility, a spark igniting from the embers left by Marcus's threats. Just as they settled into the final details, a knock at the door interrupted. Uncertainty rippled through the room. "Who could that be?" Elena asked, her voice low. Jack exchanged wary glances with the group. As he opened the door, a familiar figure stepped in. Tom stood there, a look of excitement mixing with urgency. "They told me what happened," he said breathlessly. "I just talked to some old friends and local business owners. They want in. They're willing to back this just like we planned." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Jack felt a swell of pride. They weren't alone in this fight. "It's only the beginning," he said, heart racing. "With enough voices, Marcus can't drown us out." "Exactly," Tom continued, gripping Jack's shoulder. "We use our community's resources, their stories, their history. It's more powerful than his money. And if we unite, no amount of funding can replicate the authenticity we have here." As the night folded into early morning, the group left the community center knowing they were no longer just a coalition of dreamers, they were the heart of Maplewood, and their spirit could withstand anything. The road would be hard, filled with hurdles, but they had each other, and that was everything. Weeks passed, and the efforts took shape. The Rooted Festival became a reality, drawing people from near and far. Framed photographs adorned the walls, stories hung like banners, and laughter erupted in the crisp autumn air. The sense of unity surpassed anything Jack had imagined. It was bigger than one mechanic's dream, it was the heartbeat of Maplewood. On the day of the festival, Jack looked out over the bustling festival grounds. Smiling faces filled the space, music floated through the air, and excitement crackled. Together, they had created something remarkable, a testament to what could happen when people stood united for a common cause. He felt a hand grip his shoulder, turning him to see Amelia's radiant expression. "This is just the beginning," she said, her eyes bright with passion. "Look at all we've accomplished." "Yeah," Jack replied, a grin spreading over his lips. "It's incredible to see how everyone came together. We're stronger than any wealthy tyrant could ever imagine." Just then, across the field, he spotted a familiar face. It was Marcus, standing apart from the crowd, arms crossed, wearing a mask of intrigue. Jack felt a moment of doubt creep in. Would Marcus's team undermine their efforts? But before he could indulge the worry, the crowd erupted in applause. The event was a success, their small town had turned out in droves. Jack had proven that they could thrive without the weight of corporate interests pushing them down. He could see in the eyes of his friends that they had built something enduring and meaningful. "Let us keep this alive," Jack shouted, drawing attention. "This is for our community. We'll keep building, keep fighting for each other, and no one can take that away." Cheers erupted once more, and Jack felt a rush of joy. They had transformed a small idea into a powerful movement. As the festival unfolded, laughter and celebration filled the air, and Jack realized that a new chapter was beginning not just for his dreams, but for the entire town. With each person they reached, each connection they forged, it became clearer, Maplewood's true wealth lay not in money, but in unity, community, and the resilience of its people. And when the festival came to a close, Jack knew one thing for certain: they would never back down from pursuing their vision, standing strong against anyone who threatened the heart of who they were. Because, in the end, together, they were unstoppable. As the stars twinkled overhead, the crowd began to disperse with renewed hope, a torch now lit in each heart. And while the future still held uncertainty, they were ready to face it together. Now, if you're as inspired as I am by Jack's incredible journey, this is your moment. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let others discover this amazing transformation. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Let's celebrate together. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support matters, and only true fans understand how important it is to rally behind the stories that uplift our community.